Right now at 6 a.m., one of the most powerful storms on record making landfall overnight. Hurricane Irma packing 185-mile-per-hour winds, now barreling towards Puerto Rico. We have the latest on the storm's track and the impact we could see right here in the Carolinas.
Plus, a major change in immigration policy sparking protests across the country, including right here in Charlotte, behind President Trump's move to phase out a program that protected child immigrants.
And Huntersville officials taking aim at the CMS bond request, saying their schools aren't receiving nearly enough of the $1 billion package. NBC Charlotte News at 6 a.m. starts right now.
This is WCNC NBC Charlotte Morning News.
Well, thousands of people along the coast of Florida now bracing for Hurricane Irma's impact. You're looking at live pictures right now of Fort Lauderdale, one of the areas expected to get slammed by this, what can only be described as a powerful monster of a storm. Thanks so much for waking up with us right here on NBC Charlotte. I'm Carolyn Brooke.
And I'm Ben Thompson for the very latest on Irma and the weather here at home as well. Let's go ahead and turn it over to Larry Sprinkle. Larry.
Good morning. Let's take a look at the size of Irma. Winds sustained 185 miles per hour. Now right there on a beeline for the small island of St. Martin, eventually headed over towards the Virgin Islands and then maybe the northern part of Puerto Rico. Winds once again 185, gusting to 225 miles per hour, moving west-northwest at about 16 miles per hour. What about the path? These are the spaghetti plots, all the different computer models indicating, well, it could turn right into the Gulf of Mexico, but more of the models are taking a turn out into the Atlantic Ocean. Some maybe even headed towards the Carolina coastline, others taking it away from the coastline. As we take a look at our local forecast for today, it's going to be a cool day, low 70s, could be some showers around as we head towards the afternoon, maybe a stray thunderstorm. Let's get a check on the commute this morning. Here's Rachel Rowland.
Larry, thank you. Things were relatively quiet for the start of the morning. They've really started to pick up on 77, however, at Nations Ford. You can see both in the north and southbound lanes. Traffic moving along just fine, just getting busy. The only crash we have working right now, you can see this is off of 485 near Harrisburg in Rocky River. Farm Mill Road right there at Rocky River Road, not causing any delays just yet, just something to keep in mind. Only other issue really working in our area is this stalled vehicle over on 77 southbound right there at exit 10. Ben?
Rachel, thanks. Breaking news while you were sleeping, one of the most powerful Atlantic hurricanes in history making landfall. You heard Larry talking about it. Just before 2 o'clock this morning, Hurricane Irma slamming the Caribbean islands. The National Hurricane Service says Irma's eye passed directly over the island of Barbuda. Irma still has a Category 5 hurricane with winds of 185 miles an hour. And now other islands, including Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, preparing for Hurricane Irma to make it their next big hit.
The Prime Minister in the Bahamas announced the largest mandatory evacuation in the history of those islands. Officials warning everyone and anyone who stays behind is in, quote, great danger. Now parts of Florida also evacuating. Government officials say visitors to the Florida Keys need to leave today and that all people who live there should be out by Thursday, so by tomorrow. The lines at gas stations growing, as you can imagine. See, you saw a video right there of that. The shelves at grocery stores already empty. Floridians preparing for the absolute worst.
The flood models and actually the damage models are really based on the intensity of the storm. This is a very, very powerful and intense storm.
President Donald Trump has declared several emergencies for both Florida and Puerto Rico. Now here in the Carolinas, it's still too early to tell what and when we'll see the impacts of Irma, but we do know that state agencies are already preparing.
Travel agencies also have all hands on deck trying to deal with cancellations. NBC Charlotte's Ariel Placencia joins us now live from Charlotte Douglas. So Ariel, gives an idea, a lot of delays, a lot of cancellations expected there, right?
So things are actually moving pretty smoothly here at Charlotte Douglas Airport. You would expect a lot of cancellations and delayed flights, but there's actually only one between all the arrivals and departures here at Charlotte Douglas. That's good news. Over in Florida, though, there are mandatory evacuations for Monroe and Miami-Dade counties. Check this out. 2 flights to Miami from Charlotte, both of them on time. And as I mentioned, there's only one canceled flight between the arrivals and departures leaving here at Charlotte Douglas. Harvey canceled about 13,000 flights, and now Irma's posing an even bigger threat to air travel.
We've gotten several calls today.
Nancy Cutter owns a travel agency in Charlotte. She says Hurricane Irma has kept their phone ringing off the hook.
Everybody just needs to keep a calm and level head. You don't really want to jump the gun too quickly.
Meanwhile, officials in Florida announcing mandatory evacuations ahead of the storm. Grocery stores in the Sunshine State completely bare. Bottled water flying off the shelves. And even some stores here in the Carolinas are starting to run low.
All they've been buying is water, a whole bunch of water. You got to be prepared for the storm because you don't know what's going to come.
The North Carolina State Director of Emergency Management announcing yesterday that the agency is working with nearby states on an evacuation plan.
I've been having telephone calls with my partners in South Carolina and Virginia to ensure if we have to have a synchronized evacuation that it's well planned.
Now keep in mind, Key West International Airport is suspending all airline operations starting tonight. Now, American Airlines as well as JetBlue and Southwest, those are 3 airline carriers that are offering Irma-related rebooking policies. So keep that in mind when you log in online to get some flights. Coming up in 30 minutes, we'll talk about how South Carolina is preparing for whatever Irma has to bring. But for now, that's the latest. I'm Ariel Placencia, NBC Charlotte.
Ariel, thanks. Well, we're going to continue to keep you up to date on the path of Irma and the impact it could have on us here in the Carolinas. Stay with us here on air and online for the latest radars and warnings.
Breaking overnight, a woman is dead after getting hit by a car in Gastonia. Police say 57-year-old Margaret Smar walked in front of a pickup truck on West Garrison Boulevard last night. She was taken to the hospital where she died. Police say that she was wearing dark clothing, making her difficult to see, and that she was not in a crosswalk. The driver of the car has not been charged. An investigation is underway.
Here at home, police are investigating the murder of a 38-year-old man near uptown Charlotte. Police say Joseph Bellamy was found dead Saturday on North College Street. CMPD calling his death a homicide now, saying he died from unknown trauma. Investigators aren't saying if they have any suspects at this time. As soon as we learn more, we will let you know. This morning, a battle brewing between CMS and the town of Huntersville.
Town commissioners voting last night to not support CMS's nearly $1 billion bond proposal. NBC Charlotte's Richard Devane joins us live now from Huntersville. So, Richard, what was this bond for?
Don't hear anything. Huntersville Town Commissioners are not happy with what's included in CMS's proposed $922 million bond package, saying that schools in the north part of Mecklenburg County aren't getting enough attention, especially when it comes to the growth that they've experienced in the area. If voters approve the bond, it would fund some 29 projects across the Mecklenburg County, but Huntersville leadership point to only 2 projects in their area. One of those projects would be a new elementary school. The other is classroom additions to Mountain Island K-8. But with the large amount of growth that part of the county is experiencing, they say they should see more projects to accommodate that growth.
They're not taking into account the growth that we are experiencing up here. We need them to go back and revisit their matrix and let us sit down and have some dialogue.
Yeah, sorry for those technical difficulties. Basically, what the town commissioners want CMS to do is to revisit this plan, lay it back on the table, and make a more equitable plan that divides the funds evenly throughout the county. We'll have much more on this story in 30 minutes, but for now, we're right here in Huntersville. Richard Devane, NBC Charlotte.
Richard, thanks. 6:08 now. The fate of more than 800,000 people living here in America is uncertain this morning, and time is ticking. Congress now in control after President Donald Trump decided to end the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program, as called, which protects undocumented immigrants who came to the U.S. as kids.
The president tweeting last night that Congress has 6 months to find a solution. And if they can't, he says he's going to revisit the issue. There are more than 800,000 people in the country who are helped through that program called DACA. The president's decision hitting the Tar Heel state pretty hard. According to the Department of Homeland Security, North Carolina is in the top 10 for most beneficiaries. More than 27,000 people benefit from that program here. Last night, hundreds gathered in Marshall Park in Charlotte to protest President Trump's decision. The crowd calling for a change in the immigration policy.
So first, I want to tell you that you're not American enough. It hits really hard because this is all I know.
Keep it right here on NBC Charlotte, because we're going to hear from South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham about President Trump's decision. He's speaking live on the Today Show in just about 50 minutes. Well, time now to get another check of your first one forecast. The concern right now, of course, is for the adjectives being used to describe Hurricane Irma: catastrophic, powerful,
devastating.
devastating.
All
right.
those terms. And speaking of devastation, I wanted to show this at the moment. The sad situation on the island right here. That's St. Bart's, and you can see the eye of the storm is almost directly on top of St. Bart's right there, and St. Martin right above that. Top of that is Anguilla, and then you look over to the Virgin Islands, San Juan, Puerto Rico. And another interesting feature is you can see it was moving a little bit west-northwest, and right now that latest jog puts it almost in a directly westerly fashion. We'll keep you updated about that situation. Once again, winds sustained 185 miles per hour. Locally, it's pretty nice out there. A very cool and comfortable fall-like morning. Temperatures for the most part in the mid-60s. We take it through the morning up to about 10 a.m., about 64 degrees. Couple showers out there around the region this morning. More rain is possible this afternoon. That's the weather word. Let's get a check on your Wednesday morning commute.
All right, Larry, thank you so much. 77 right here at Arrowwood. You can see picking up just as it was at Nations Ford. That exit, 77 moving along just fine for you this morning. Most of our major interstates are. You can see this really zoomed out shot of the Charlotte area and surrounding. We do still have that crash on Rocky River Road. However, the issue we had just outside of Uptown with the stalled vehicle has cleared. So that's a good update for you. If you're heading in from South Carolina, it is all green over the state line. Should take you about 12 minutes to get from Rock Hill to 45. Carolyn?
Rachel, thanks. 6:11 just about coming up. If you're flying out of Charlotte, start getting to the airport early. The new construction you're going to see while walking to your gate.
Also, some stores already preparing for Christmas.
What?
What Walmart says is the hottest toy, and when you can get your hands on it.
And Chipotle bending its own rules when the company will start selling queso at all restaurants.
Up next, we have something absolutely exquisite. This has to be one of the most flawless diamond collections we have